So today's goal is to find out if ChatGPT can be a CFO. And I'm not sure if it could be a CFO. We're going to ask it some questions. Today, I have an appointment in a couple of hours to go meet with the money men. I call them the money men because when I sold Women Travel Abroad, we hired some financial fiduciary type people who helped people who were coming into something like a capital event. I was selling the actual business and what that would look like for tax implications and how we can do some forward planning for the wealth building we're trying to do for our family. So, is it aggressive for me to be wanting to save $8,000 a month? Should I make it a little bit less than that with the money that's coming in? How can I best see what that looks like? Or they can give me a name of somebody who could actually do it. So before I do that, I'm actually going to spend some time in ChatGPT and have some questions with him about building the wealth. So I'll start off with a prompt, something that I'm just going to tell it. I speak to it. All right, so today we have a meeting with the money men. In this meeting, I want to go over what we actually have in terms of debt, what I'm managing in terms of our finances, meaning our expenses for business expenses, any debt that we have. I want to speak to them about whether or not it's feasible for me to save the $100,000 over the next 18 months and 9 days or 8 days at this point. What that would look like if I don't invest that. Where's the best place to invest that kind of money every month, and being able to move it out of the account and move it into an account that can't be touched so it can be liquid somewhere but still be accruing interest. So that's going to be the question I have for him. I'm going to upload for you our debt, what we have on a monthly basis, also give you an idea of what we're actually making, and from there I'd like for you to tell me the feasibility of that. So that's the prompt that I've given it. So the chat, of course, is saying you don't need answers yet. We need structure, clarity, and leverage. That's right. So let's go ahead and give him the first upload. So the forms that you have now are my all bills spreadsheet that tell you exactly what it looks like, and we pay on a monthly basis. So look from the January date and February date, plus our spiffy order, our balance sheet from our Stripe and from our PayPal. So is our debt snapshot. So total debt is about $1 million, but that includes mortgages because we've got several mortgages on the properties that we own, an SBA loan, IRS back taxes, auto loans, some different lines of credit that we offer, also some credit cards and some short-term business loans that we've got. So not all debt is created equal. Of course, we know that anything that's asset backed or structured, SBA and IRS, it's actually the drain that I have is from my actual hard money loans that I have out there. So we need a minimum outflow of about 21 to 24,000, which is great, right? Because we've got 35,000 coming this in January. So if we can keep that up month over month, we should be good. The goal should be 25,000 made monthly. I love that. That's right. So, and then we have, of course, pitch day spikes and launches. And of course, last night, I did a one call, was able to make $1,400 on that. And today, one of the people want to buy another product for around $700. So you're talking about for an hour's worth of work last night, I'm able to do $2,100 from yesterday and today. So if we can keep that kind of money coming in the times where we're not doing launches, which is a very low lift for me selling to the list, we can make that happen. So in order for me to save the $100,000, it's going to cost me about $55 a month. Can't really save that safely yet because we have the weekly debt drain, payroll that consumes a lot of the money. And then, of course, the good months that we have, trying to plug up those prior holes that I've got, which I get that. So what he's saying, don't aim for the 55 a month yet, aim for 2,500 to 3,000 a month, but only fund it after the fixed bills are cleared, and increase it to 6,000 or 7,000 a month as the events get bigger, maybe our launches get stronger, what that looks like. So he's thinking high yield savings account with a different bank, money market fund, not checking, treasury ladder, which is hard to touch, excellent discipline tool. So what it's telling me to say in the meeting, I want to know what's realistic given our current fixed obligations. I'm targeting 100 grand in 18 months, but I don't want a savings plan that destabilizes operations. I'm looking for a structure where money is automatically extracted, protected from my operating use, still liquid and earning interest. And I want to phase that contribution so it grows as pressure drops. I love that. What am I not asking? And what question to ask them? All right. Cash flow fragility versus debt size. Which obligations are structurally choking my flexibility? I'm asking what to do, not when. What must happen first before saving aggressively? What should be paused, renegotiated, or consolidated? What happens if you save while cash flow pressure stays high? What breaks this plan? What happens if revenue dips for 60 to 90 days. How much cash buffer do you actually need before locking money away? Whether your current structure can survive a slower quarter. This is where experienced money people reveal themselves. And where does $1 of payoff create the most breathing room? So, what I should ask is, given our current obligations, where is our cash flow actively fragile, not on paper, but in real life? Forces honesty. And which debts are doing the most damage to our month to month flexibility, regardless of balance size? If we could eliminate or restructure one obligation in the next 90 days, which one would create the biggest cash flow relief? So, I get it. Red flags, they focus only on interest rates, not payment frequency. They push investing without discussing volatility or liquidity. They give generic advice that ignores your cash spikes. They don't ask about your stress tolerance or sleep. Green flags, they talk about weekly versus monthly cash strain. They prioritize flexibility over optimization. They suggest phasing, not all or nothing, and they ask you questions back. And one final powerful question to say for the end: if this were your business and your family, what would you do in the next 90 days, and what would you absolutely not do yet? Got it. I'm going to ask these questions. And this feels good. Are there any money questions I should ask from my all bills spreadsheet? Can you give me those debts and outflows that outline for them at a high level? What to do next? Let's see what that is. Money questions their spreadsheet is quietly asking, but you haven't yet. It shows multiple weekly and semi-weekly drains, not just monthly ones. Which one of these obligations are creating the most time stress, not cost? If all the revenue stopped for 30 days, which payments would hurt us first? Which of these debts behave more operating expenses than long-term liabilities? This is rational and treat this as debt, right? Is aggressive saving competing with the operational stability right now? What must change so savings is no longer an emergency fund? Low balances, and then operating expenses, software stack, ad spend baseline, contractors, payroll timing, subscriptions, renewal by default. I don't really have a whole lot of operating expenses in this business. Typically, with payroll plus the small systems that we pay for, which I believe in being very low maintenance in terms of that. So I don't know if that's going to be that big of an issue. But variable gross, ads during launches, travel for events, master classes and experiences, one-time team or production costs. They need rules, not elimination. All right. So I think I have my answer. I'm going to take this information. I'm going to take it to the money meeting today, see what they say, see how sound ChatGPT was as a financial advisor, and we'll go from there. This was a good one. I actually feel a lot less stressed now knowing what Chat is kind of giving me as a do out. So we'll see how it goes.